The massive alien ships appeared in Earth's sky like dark clouds blocking the sun. Admiral Zekran stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking down at the blue planet below. His cold eyes showed no emotion as he studied the primitive world. The Celestial Empire had conquered 47 star systems. Earth would be number 48, another weak species, Zekran said to his officers. Look at their pathetic technology. They still use chemical rockets to reach their own moon. The alien admiral was tall and thin, with gray skin and black eyes that never blinked. His uniform was covered in medals from previous conquests. Each medal represented a world that had fallen to the Empire's might. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the deck of his transport ship, the New Haven. He was carrying supplies to the Mars colony when the alien fleet arrived. Jake was a simple man who had spent 20 years flying cargo ships between Earth and Mars. He never expected to see something like this. The alien ships were huge. Each one was the size of a city, with weapons that glowed red in the darkness of space. Jake counted 12 of them. His small transport ship could fit inside one of their cargo bays. This is Admiral Zekran of the Celestial Empire. A voice spoke in perfect English over all communication channels. People of Earth, you have 72 hours to surrender. Submit to Imperial rule or your planet will be destroyed. This is your only warning. Jake felt his hands shake as he gripped the controls. He had a wife and 2 children back on Earth. His daughter was only 8 years old. She loved to watch the stars at night and dream of flying among them. Now those same stars brought death. On Earth, people ran through the streets in panic. News reporters tried to explain what was happening, but nobody really understood. Governments held emergency meetings. But what could they do against ships that big? Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, Admiral Lisa Parker sat in a secret command center. The room was carved from solid rock, 5 miles below the ocean floor. Only a few dozen people knew this place existed. Lisa had gray hair and sharp blue eyes. She had been waiting for this day for 30 years. Ma'am, we're receiving the alien transmission, said Lieutenant Bobby Chen, her communications officer. I heard it, Lisa said calmly. Send the activation codes to all hidden stations. It's time to wake up the Leviathan. Bobby's fingers moved quickly over his keyboard. All around the world, secret messages went out to hidden bases. These bases looked like ordinary buildings, but they were much more. Scientists and engineers who had been waiting, their whole careers suddenly got the call they had been trained for. The aliens didn't know that humans had been preparing for this day since 1952. That was when the first alien probe had been shot down over Nevada. The crash had been covered up, but the technology inside had changed everything. For 70 years, Earth's best minds had studied alien science in secret. Dr. Caroline Smith worked in one of these secret labs beneath the mountains of Colorado. She was a small woman with brown hair and thick glasses. For 20 years, she had been studying pieces of alien technology. Every circuit, every piece of metal, every strange material had been examined and understood. The aliens use quantum field generators for their shields, she had told Admiral Parker years ago. But they have a weakness. If you hit them with the right frequency, the shields collapse. Now that knowledge would be tested in real battle. On the dark side of the moon, Colonel Ryan Mitchell walked through a vast hangar. The space was so big that clouds formed near the ceiling. Inside the hangar sat humanity's greatest secret. The ship was 3 times larger than the biggest alien vessel. Its black hull seemed to absorb light itself. How long until we can launch? Ryan asked Chief Engineer Nancy Green. Nancy wiped oil from her hands with a dirty rag. She had been working on the ship's engines for 16 hours straight. Give me 2 more hours, Colonel. The fusion reactors are coming online now. The ship was called the Thunderstrike. It had taken 20 years to build, using technology that combined human engineering with alien science. Every system had been designed to be better than anything the Empire had ever seen. Ryan looked at the fighter ships lined up in the hangar bays. There were 300 of them, each one flown by pilots who had trained their entire lives for this moment. The pilots didn't know about the alien threat until today, but they had been preparing for it without knowing. Lieutenant Katie Wells checked her fighter one last time. She was 28 years old and had been the best pilot in her class at the academy. Katie didn't know why she had been assigned to a secret base on the moon, but she had followed orders. Now she understood. All pilots to briefing room 7, came the announcement over the speakers. Katie joined 299 other pilots in the large briefing room. Colonel Mitchell stood at the front, his face serious. "Today, Earth faces its greatest challenge," he said. "An alien empire wants to conquer our world. They think we're weak and helpless. They're about to learn how wrong they are." The pilots looked at each other with excitement and fear. They had trained for space combat, but they never thought it would be against real aliens. Back on Earth, Jake Morrison watched the alien ships move into position around the planet. The Empire's forces were getting ready for an easy victory. They had done this many times before. First, they would destroy any military resistance. Then they would land troops and take control of major cities. Finally, they would install a new government that served the Empire. Admiral Zekran smiled as he watched his ships move into attack formation. "Begin scanning for military targets," he ordered. "I want this over quickly." But the alien scanners found something strange. Earth's military bases were exactly where they expected them to be. The weapons were primitive chemical explosives and simple missiles. There were no energy shields, no advanced fighters, no space battleships. It was almost too easy. What the aliens didn't see were the hidden bases scattered across the solar system. They didn't detect the massive ship hiding behind the moon. They didn't know about the weapons built into what looked like communication satellites. Admiral Lisa Parker watched the alien fleet position itself for attack. "They're doing exactly what we predicted they would do," she said to her officers. "Just like the last 47 species they conquered. But humans weren't like the other species. Humans had been studying their enemies for 70 years. They had learned every weakness, every tactical pattern, every mistake the Empire made. "Signal the thunderstrike," Admiral Parker ordered. "Tell Colonel Mitchell it's time to show these aliens what humans can really do." High above Earth, the alien fleet prepared to destroy humanity's homeworld. They had no idea that they were about to face an enemy, unlike any they had ever encountered before. The alien fleet moved closer to Earth, ready to begin their attack. Admiral Zekran stood on his bridge, watching the primitive planet below. His ships had destroyed the defenses of 47 worlds. Earth would be no different. "Begin the attack," Zekran ordered. "Target their largest cities first. Make it quick," but something was wrong. The alien sensors detected a massive energy signature coming from behind Earth's moon. At first, the reading seemed impossible. No ship that large should exist in this primitive system. "Admiral," his science officer reported, his voice shaking. "There's something very large moving out from behind their moon." Zekran looked at his display screen. What he saw made his blood turn cold. A ship was emerging from the moon's shadow, and it was bigger than anything in his fleet. Much bigger. The thunderstrike came out of its hiding place like a predator stalking prey. Its black hull reflected no light, making it look like a hole in space itself. The ship was 3 miles long and bristled with weapons the aliens had never seen before. On the thunderstrike's bridge, Commander Alex Hayes watched the alien fleet through the main screen. He was a tall man with black hair and calm brown eyes. Alex had been chosen to command this ship because he could think fast and stay cool under pressure. "All stations report ready," said his first officer. "Captain Dan Phillips, launch all fighters," Alex ordered. "Let's show these aliens what Earth can do." The Thunderstrike's hangar bays opened and fighters poured out like angry bees from a hive. But these weren't the primitive ships the aliens expected. Each fighter was sleek and fast, powered by fusion engines and protected by energy shields. Lieutenant Katie Wells led the first squadron into battle. Her fighter moved through space faster than anything the Empire had ever built. The alien ships tried to target her, but she was too quick and too smart. "Alpha Squadron, follow my lead," Katie said into her radio. "Remember your training. These aliens might be big, but they're not better than us." The human fighters hit the alien fleet like lightning striking metal. Their weapons were based on alien technology, but improved by human engineering. Each shot was more powerful and more accurate than the aliens expected. Admiral Zekran watched in horror as his ships began taking damage. "How is this possible?" he shouted. "These humans were supposed to be primitive." His weapons officer tried to target the human fighters, but they moved in patterns the alien computers couldn't predict. Every time the Empire's ships fired, the humans had already moved to a new position. Commander Hayes watched the battle from his command chair. Everything was going according to plan. Earth's pilots had been training for this fight their entire lives, even if they hadn't known it. "Target the alien flagship," Alex ordered. "Show them what our main guns can do." The Thunderstrike's forward weapons charged up with a sound like thunder. The ship's fusion reactors poured massive amounts of energy into the weapon systems. When the guns fired, the blast lit up space like a small sun. The energy beam hit Admiral Zekran's flagship right in the center. The alien ship's shields flickered and died. Hull plates melted like ice in a fire. Emergency alarms screamed throughout the ship as system after system failed. "Shields are down," Zekran's engineering officer reported. "Hull breach on decks 15 through 30. "We're losing atmosphere." But the real shock came when more human ships appeared. What the aliens had thought were mining stations in the asteroid belt suddenly revealed themselves as hidden shipyards. Captain Billy Turner commanded one of these disguised bases. For 10 years, it had looked like a simple rock processing plant. In reality, it had been building warships. "All ships, this is Turner," Billy said over the communication system. "Time to join the party." Dozens of human warships emerged from asteroid hiding places. Each one was smaller than the alien dreadnoughts, but faster and more heavily armed. The Empire's ships found themselves surrounded and outnumbered. Dr. Caroline Smith watched the battle from her underground laboratory. The weapons she had helped design were performing perfectly. Every alien weakness she had discovered was being exploited. The aliens use rotating shield frequencies, she had explained to the engineers years ago. But if you hit them in the right sequence, you can overload their generators. The human weapons were doing exactly that. Each shot was timed to hit when the alien shields were weakest. It was like hitting a person in exactly the right spot to make them fall down. Captain Jake Morrison, still trapped in his transport ship, couldn't believe what he was seeing. The space around Earth had become a battlefield, but the humans were winning. Ships he had never seen before were fighting with weapons that seemed impossible. "This is incredible," he said to himself. "How long has Earth been preparing for this?" The answer was 70 years. Ever since that first alien probe had crashed in Nevada, Earth's governments had been getting ready. They had built secret bases, trained secret armies, and developed secret weapons, all while pretending to be a primitive planet that posed no threat to anyone. Lieutenant Peter Davis led a squadron of stealth fighters behind the alien lines. These ships were invisible to alien sensors, using technology that bent light around them. Peter's job was to attack the alien communication ships and cut off their ability to call for help. "Remember, we need to keep them from sending messages back to their empire," Peter told his pilots. "If more alien fleets come, this gets much harder." The stealth fighters struck the alien communication ships like ghosts in the night. By the time the aliens realized they were under attack, their ability to call for reinforcements was gone. Major Steve Johnson prepared his Marines for boarding actions. These weren't ordinary soldiers. They had been training in zero-gravity combat for years, learning to fight inside alien ships. Their armor was powered by fusion cells, and their weapons could punch through alien hull metal. "Boarding pods ready," Steve reported to Commander Hayes. "Launch when ready," Alex replied. "Let's take some of these ships intact. We might learn something useful." The boarding pods shot across space like bullets, too small and fast for the alien guns to hit. When they struck the enemy ships, they burned through the hull and released the Marines inside. The aliens had never faced human soldiers in close combat before. They discovered that humans were stronger, faster, and much more aggressive than they had expected. What should have been an easy victory for the Empire was turning into a disaster. Admiral Zekran tried to retreat, but human ships blocked every escape route. His once mighty fleet was being torn apart by an enemy he had completely underestimated. How could our intelligence have been so wrong? He wondered aloud. The answer was simple. Earth had spent 70 years making sure the aliens saw only what humans wanted them to see. Every probe, every spy, every scout had been fed false information about human capabilities. The Empire thought they knew everything about Earth's defenses. In reality, they knew nothing at all. The battle raged across Earth's orbital space as more human weapons revealed themselves. What had looked like simple communication satellites suddenly opened up to show massive gun batteries. The aliens found themselves under attack from directions they never expected. Lieutenant Colonel Amy Roberts commanded the orbital defense network from a bunker deep underground. She had been watching the alien fleet for hours, waiting for the perfect moment to reveal Earth's hidden defenses. "All platforms, this is Control," Amy said into her headset. "You are cleared to engage. Show them what we've been hiding." Around Earth's orbit, dozens of fake satellites transformed into weapon platforms. Their disguise fell away like a mask being removed. Powerful energy cannons emerged from what had appeared to be simple communication equipment. Admiral Zekrin watched his ships come under fire from weapons that shouldn't exist. "Where did these come from?" he demanded. "Our scouts reported no orbital defenses." His tactical officer was frantically trying to update their battle plans. "Admiral, we're detecting weapon signatures that don't match any known technology. These humans have capabilities we never suspected." The truth was that Earth scientists had spent decades improving on alien technology. Dr. Caroline Smith and her team had taken every piece of captured alien equipment and made it better. Human engineering combined with alien science had created weapons that surpassed anything the Empire possessed. Major Steve Johnson's Marines had successfully boarded 3 alien ships. The close-quarters fighting was brutal, but the humans had every advantage. They knew the layout of alien ships from years of studying captured examples. They knew where the weak points were and how to exploit them. "Alien engineering base secured," Steve reported as his soldiers took control of another section of the enemy ship. These guys really weren't expecting us to board them. The aliens were learning that humans excelled at more than just space combat. In hand-to-hand fighting, human soldiers were faster and stronger than most alien species. Their training was superior, and their equipment was more advanced. Chief Engineer Nancy Green worked frantically to keep the Thunderstrike's power systems running at maximum capacity. The ship was using more energy than any vessel in history, but its fusion reactors were holding steady. "Reactor output at 120%, Nancy reported to Commander Hayes. "We're pushing into the red zone, but she's holding together." "Keep it running," Alex replied. "We need every bit of power we can get." The Thunderstrike's weapons were firing continuously, each shot powerful enough to cripple an alien dreadnought. But it wasn't just the raw power that made human weapons effective. It was how they were used. Human tactics were completely different from anything the Empire had encountered. Instead of the rigid formations and predictable strategies used by other species, human ships moved in fluid patterns that seemed random but were actually carefully coordinated, Captain. Dan Phillips commanded a group of human destroyers that darted between the alien ships like wolves hunting elk. His ships would appear, strike hard, then vanish before the aliens could respond effectively. "Hit and run, people," Dan told his captains. "Don't give them a chance to lock onto you. Stay mobile, stay alive." The alien fleet was designed to fight enemies who would meet them in direct combat. They weren't prepared for humans who refused to play by the Empire's rules. Every time the aliens adapted to one human tactic, the humans switched to something completely different. Lieutenant Katie Wells had already shot down 5 alien fighters. Her squadron was protecting the Thunderstrike from enemy bombers. But the aliens couldn't get close enough to attack the massive human ship. "These alien pilots are good," Katie told her wingman, Lieutenant Tony Martinez. "But they're too predictable. They follow the same attack patterns every time." "That's what 47 victories will do to you," Tony replied as he destroyed another alien fighter. "They got overconfident." The human pilots had studied recordings of every battle the Empire had fought. They knew exactly how alien tactics worked and had developed countermeasures for everything. It was like playing a game when you already knew all your opponent's moves. Captain Billy Turner's hidden shipyard was now fully revealed, and the ships it had been secretly building were joining the battle. These weren't the massive dreadnoughts that other species built. They were smaller, faster vessels designed for the kind of warfare humans preferred. "Production Line 7 is launching another squadron," Billy reported to Admiral Lisa Parker. "We'll have 50 more ships in space within the hour." The aliens couldn't understand how the humans had so many ships. Their intelligence had reported that Earth had no significant space navy. Now they were facing hundreds of advanced warships that seemed to appear from nowhere. The truth was that Earth had been building these ships for decades, hiding them in asteroid bases and underground facilities. Every major government on Earth had contributed resources to the secret fleet. It was the largest construction project in human history, and the aliens had never suspected it existed. Colonel Ryan Mitchell coordinated the overall battle from the Thunderstrike's command center. He had access to real-time data from every human ship and weapon platform. The entire battle was being fought like a single, coordinated operation. "Enemy flagship is trying to break through our line," Ryan reported to Commander Hayes. "They're making a run for Earth." "All ships intercept course," Alex ordered. "Don't let them reach the planet." Admiral Zekrin had decided on a desperate gambit. If he could break through the human defenses and attack Earth directly, he might still salvage something from this disaster. His remaining ships turned toward the blue planet, engines straining at maximum power, but the humans had anticipated this move. Hidden defense stations around Earth's equator suddenly came online. These weren't small weapon platforms like the ones in orbit. They were massive installations that had been disguised as research facilities and industrial complexes. General Frank Miller commanded Earth's planetary defenses from a bunker beneath the Pentagon. He had been waiting 30 years for this moment. All those years of preparation, all those resources spent on weapons that might never be used, were finally paying off. "Fire all coastal batteries," Frank ordered. "Don't let a single alien ship reach the atmosphere." Energy beams lanced up from Earth's surface, striking the alien ships with devastating force. The Empire's final attack was stopped cold by defenses they never knew existed. Admiral Zekrin watched his plan crumble as more of his ships were destroyed. His mighty fleet, which had conquered nearly 50 worlds, was being torn apart by a species he had dismissed as primitive savages. "How is this possible?" he asked his surviving officers.
"How could we have been so completely wrong about their capabilities?"
Commander Sarah Wilson, Earth's psychological warfare specialist, provided the answer by broadcasting a message on all alien frequencies. "You made the same mistake 47 other species made," her voice said calmly. "You assumed that primitive technology meant primitive minds. You never bothered to really study us. You just saw what we wanted you to see." The message continued as more alien ships fell to human weapons. "For 70 years we've been watching you, learning from you, preparing for you. Every probe you sent, every scout ship you dispatched gave us more information about your weaknesses." Admiral Zekrin finally understood. The humans hadn't been caught off guard by the invasion. They had been expecting it. Everything they had shown the Empire about their capabilities had been a carefully constructed lie. The sky above Earth, which the Empire had thought belonged to them, was revealing its true masters. And those masters were not interested in surrender. Admiral Zekrin's desperate attack on Earth had failed completely. Half of his fleet was destroyed, and the remaining ships were badly damaged. But the humans weren't finished with them yet. More ships were approaching from the outer solar system, and these were even larger than the ones already fighting. Admiral Korthak arrived with the Empire's second fleet just in time to see the first fleet's defeat. He was the Empire's most experienced commander, a veteran of 30 successful conquests. But what he found at Earth made no sense. "This is impossible," Korthak said as he studied the tactical display. "How can primitive humans be defeating Imperial forces?" His fleet consisted of 20 dreadnoughts and 200 escort ships. It was the largest force the Empire had ever assembled for a single conquest. It should have been more than enough to crush any resistance, but the humans had more surprises waiting. As Korthak's fleet entered Earth's solar system, they encountered something that shouldn't exist. Mobile shipyards were scattered throughout the asteroid belt, each one producing warships at an incredible rate. Captain Dan Phillips commanded the largest of these hidden factories. It had been disguised as a simple mining operation for 15 years. In reality, it was a massive military production facility that could build a new warship every 6 hours. Admiral Korthak's fleet just entered sensor range, Dan reported to Admiral Lisa Parker. 21 capital ships and about 200 smaller vessels. How many ships can you give us? Lisa asked. I've got 40 ready to launch right now, Dan replied. Another 60 will be ready within 12 hours. The human ships that emerged from the asteroid shipyards were unlike anything the Empire had seen before. They were sleek and fast with weapons that glowed blue instead of the usual red. Each ship was controlled by an artificial intelligence that could react faster than any living pilot. Lieutenant Peter Davis led a reconnaissance mission to study the new alien fleet. His stealth fighters were invisible to alien sensors, allowing them to get close enough to gather detailed information. The second fleet is using different technology, Peter reported. Their shields are stronger and their weapons have longer range, but they're still using the same tactical formations. This information was immediately shared with all human commanders. Within minutes, new battle plans were being developed that would exploit the aliens' predictable strategies. Commander Alex Hayes prepared the Thunderstrike for another battle. The massive ship had taken some damage in the first engagement, but Chief Engineer Nancy Green and her team had worked miracles to keep it operational. All systems are back to full capacity, Nancy reported. The aliens' weapons couldn't penetrate our main armor. We're ready for round 2. But this time, the humans had decided to try a different approach. Instead of meeting the alien fleet in direct combat, they would use psychological warfare to weaken the enemy's resolve. Commander Sarah Wilson activated Earth's most powerful communication array and began broadcasting to the Empire's homeworlds. The message she sent would change everything. People of the Empire, Sarah's voice said in a dozen alien languages, your government has lied to you. They told you that their fleets were invincible, that no species could stand against Imperial might. We are here to show you the truth. The broadcast included video footage of the first battle, showing Imperial ships being destroyed by human weapons. It showed alien crews surrendering to human marines. It showed the mighty Empire's fleet running away from a planet they had thought was defenseless. The effect on Imperial territory was immediate. Species that had been conquered by the Empire began to ask questions. If humans could defeat Imperial fleets, why couldn't they? Rebellion began to spread across dozens of worlds. Major Steve Johnson's Marines had now captured 7 alien ships intact. Each captured vessel provided more intelligence about Imperial technology and tactics. The humans were learning faster than the Empire could adapt. The aliens used centralized command systems, Steve reported after examining the captured ship's computers. If we can disrupt their command ship, the whole fleet becomes confused. This information led to a new strategy. Instead of trying to destroy Admiral Korthak's entire fleet, the humans would focus on capturing or disabling the command ships. Without leadership, the Imperial forces would be vulnerable. Captain Billy Turner's stealth destroyer was perfect for this mission. His ship could become invisible to alien sensors and strike without warning. Billy had been waiting his whole career for a chance like this. Stealth systems at maximum, Billy told his crew as they approached the alien fleet. We're going to cut the head off this snake. The Thunderstrike and its escort ships engaged the alien fleet in open battle, drawing their attention away from Billy's approach. The aliens focused all their firepower on the human capital ships, never noticing the small stealth destroyer moving toward their flagship. Lieutenant Katie Wells led her fighter squadron in a series of hit-and-run attacks that kept the alien fighters busy. Her pilots had now destroyed over 100 enemy craft, and they were getting better with each engagement. The aliens are good pilots, Katie told her squadron, but they're not creative. They do exactly what their training tells them to do. That makes them predictable. The human fighters use this predictability against their enemies. They would start an attack pattern that the aliens recognized, wait for the standard response, then switch to something completely different. It worked every time. Admiral Korthak was becoming frustrated as his carefully planned attack fell apart. His ships were taking heavy casualties, but they couldn't seem to hit the human vessels effectively. Every time his forces adapted to human tactics, the humans would change their approach. These humans fight like no species we've encountered, his tactical officer reported. They don't follow any recognizable patterns. What the aliens didn't understand was that human military doctrine was based on flexibility and improvisation. Human commanders were trained to think for themselves and adapt to changing situations. Imperial officers, by contrast, were expected to follow established procedures. Captain Billy Turner's stealth destroyer reached the alien flagship undetected. His ship materialized inside the enemy's defensive perimeter, like a ghost becoming solid. The aliens had no time to react before Billy's weapons disabled their command systems. Command ship neutralized, Billy reported. Their fleet coordination is breaking down. Admiral Korthak found himself cut off from his own ships. Without the command vessel's coordination, his fleet began to fall apart. Individual ships started making decisions on their own, leading to confusion and conflicting orders. Dr. Caroline Smith watched the battle from her underground laboratory. The weapons and tactics she had helped develop were proving devastatingly effective against the Empire's finest forces. The aliens have good technology, she had told the military planners years ago, but they lack imagination. They use their tools the same way every time. If we can be more creative, we can beat them. The second battle was ending the same way as the first. Imperial ships were being destroyed or captured, while human casualties remained surprisingly light. The Empire's reputation for invincibility was crumbling with each passing hour. General Frank Miller coordinated the planetary defenses as some alien ships tried to break through to attack Earth's surface. But these attempts were even less successful than before. The humans now had experience fighting Imperial forces, and they knew exactly how to counter every tactic. The aliens are brave, Frank observed as he watched the last enemy attack fail. But bravery without intelligence is just stupidity. Admiral Korthak made one final attempt to salvage something from the disaster. He gathered his surviving ships for a coordinated retreat, hoping to escape and report back to the Empire about human capabilities. But the humans weren't going to let them go. Commander Hayes had positioned ships throughout the solar system to prevent any alien vessel from escaping. The Empire's second fleet would share the same fate as the first. No witnesses, Alex said grimly. If word gets back to their Empire about our real capabilities, they'll send everything they have against us. The sky above Earth now belonged completely to humanity. 2 Imperial fleets had been destroyed, and the galaxy was about to learn that the age of the Celestial Empire was coming to an end. The destruction of 2 Imperial fleets sent shockwaves across the galaxy. For the first time in decades, the Celestial Empire had been defeated in open battle. Species that had lived under Imperial rule for generations began to hope that freedom might be possible. Admiral Lisa Parker stood in the command center beneath the Pacific Ocean, watching reports flow in from across Imperial space. Rebellions were breaking out on dozens of worlds. The Empire's iron grip was beginning to weaken. The Vorthan system has declared independence, reported Lieutenant Bobby Chen. They're asking for human military support. The Zalari have overthrown their Imperial governors, added Captain Helen Torres. They want to join an alliance against the Empire. Lisa smiled as she read the reports. Earth's victory had done more than defeat 2 fleets. It had shown the entire galaxy that the Empire could be beaten. Commander Alex Hayes brought the Thunderstrike into Earth orbit, where crowds of people gathered to see the massive ship that had saved their world. The Supercarrier was damaged but victorious, a symbol of human determination and ingenuity. "Take us home, Alex," Lisa said over the communication system. "You and your crew have earned a rest, but there would be no rest for Earth's defenders." The Empire still controlled hundreds of star systems, and they would not give up without a fight. Intelligence reports indicated that Imperial forces were gathering for a massive counterattack. Dr. Caroline Smith worked around the clock to analyze captured alien technology. Each Imperial ship that the humans had taken intact provided new insights into enemy capabilities. The knowledge gained from these vessels would help Earth prepare for the battles to come. The Empire's main weakness is their rigid thinking, Caroline told Admiral Parker during a strategy meeting. They have powerful technology, but they use it the same way every time. If we can stay creative and unpredictable, we can beat forces much larger than ours. Captain Jake Morrison found himself in command of one of the captured Imperial dreadnoughts. The former cargo pilot was learning to operate weapons systems that could destroy entire cities. It was a responsibility he had never wanted, but Earth needed every qualified commander it could find. "I never thought I'd be commanding a warship," Jake told his new crew, "but these aliens made it personal when they threatened our families." The captured Imperial ships were being refitted with human technology. Chief Engineer Nancy Green led teams of technicians who worked to integrate human weapons and shields into alien hulls. The resulting hybrid vessels were more powerful than anything either species had built before. Major Steve Johnson's Marines had become experts at boarding and capturing enemy ships. Their success rate was so high that Imperial crews now surrendered rather than face them in close combat. Each captured vessel added to Earth's growing fleet. "The aliens are afraid of us now," Steve told his soldiers. "Word is spreading through their fleets that humans can't be defeated in hand-to-hand combat." The psychological warfare campaign led by Commander Sarah Wilson was having a devastating effect on Imperial morale. Her broadcast reached every corner of the Empire, spreading the truth about human victories and Imperial defeats. "Your leaders have told you that resistance is hopeless," Sarah's voice said in the Empire's capital city. "But we are proof that they were wrong. Freedom is possible. Independence can be won. You just have to be willing to fight for it." The Imperial government tried to silence these broadcasts, but human communication technology was too advanced. Every time they blocked one frequency, the humans switched to another. The message of hope continued to spread. Lieutenant Katie Wells had been promoted to squadron commander after her outstanding performance in both battles. She now led a group of elite pilots who specialized in deep space reconnaissance. Their job was to scout Imperial territory and identify targets for future operations. "We're not just defending Earth anymore," Katie told her pilots. "We're taking the fight to the Empire. Every world they control is a potential ally waiting to be liberated." Captain Billy Turner's stealth destroyer had become the most feared ship in the human fleet. Imperial crews called it the ghost ship because it could appear anywhere without warning. Billy used this reputation to maximum advantage. "Fear is a weapon, too," Billy explained to his officers. "If the aliens are afraid of us, they make mistakes. Mistakes we can exploit." The Galactic Council, a loose alliance of independent worlds, had been watching the conflict with great interest. They had lived in fear of Imperial expansion for centuries. Now they saw an opportunity to finally stop the Empire's growth. President Maria Santos of the United Earth government received the first formal diplomatic contact from alien species who were not part of the Empire. The Galactic Council wanted to meet with human representatives to discuss an alliance. "This changes everything," Maria told Admiral Parker. "We're no longer fighting alone." The meeting took place on a neutral space station in the Rigel system. Admiral Parker led the human delegation, accompanied by Dr. Smith and Commander Hayes. They were the first humans to participate in galactic politics. "Your species has accomplished something we thought impossible," said Ambassador Theron of the Council. "You have proven that the Empire can be defeated. Will you help us finish what you started?" The alliance that formed would reshape the galaxy. 37 independent worlds joined together with Earth to form the Free Worlds Coalition. Each member contributed ships, resources, and soldiers to the fight against Imperial tyranny. Captain Dan Phillips found himself commanding not just human ships, but vessels from a dozen different species. The Coalition fleet was a strange mix of technologies and tactics, but it shared a common purpose: the complete defeat of the Celestial Empire. "We're fighting for something bigger than just our own survival now," Dan told his mixed species crew. "We're fighting for the future of the entire galaxy." The Empire's response was predictable. They gathered the largest fleet in their history and prepared to march on Earth. But this time they would not be facing humans alone. The Coalition fleet met them at the edge of Imperial space in a battle that would determine the fate of civilizations. Admiral Parker stood on the Thunderstrike's bridge as the massive fleets faced each other across empty space. On one side was the Empire's might, accumulated over centuries of conquest. On the other was the Coalition, united by a common dream of freedom. "All ships, this is Admiral Parker," she said over the fleet communication system. "Today we end the Empire's reign of terror. Today we prove that no tyrant can stand against the united forces of free peoples." The battle that followed was the largest space engagement in galactic history. Thousands of ships fought across dozens of star systems, but the outcome was never really in doubt. The Empire's rigid tactics and outdated strategies could not match the creativity and determination of free peoples fighting for their homes. When the Empire's main fleet surrendered, Admiral Zekrin was brought aboard the Thunderstrike as a prisoner. He looked at Admiral Parker with something like respect in his alien eyes. "How did you know?" he asked. "How did you know exactly what we would do?" Parker smiled as she looked out at the liberated galaxy. "Because you forgot the most important rule of warfare: know your enemy. You never bothered to really study us. You just assumed we were like all the others. The Celestial Empire collapsed within months of their fleet's defeat. World after world declared independence and joined the Coalition. The age of Imperial domination was over, replaced by an alliance of free peoples working together for mutual benefit. Earth's children had not only survived first contact with a hostile alien empire, but had become the leaders of galactic civilization. The secret supercarrier that had stunned the Empire became the flagship of the Coalition fleet, a symbol of what could be accomplished when free peoples stood together. The sky that had once belonged to tyrants now belonged to those who fought for justice and freedom. And at the center of it all was a small blue planet, whose people had proven that the greatest weapon in the universe was not advanced technology, but the unbreakable spirit of those who refused to surrender their liberty. Captain Jake Morrison, now Admiral Morrison, looked out from his command ship at the peaceful galaxy that had emerged from the ashes of the Empire. His daughter could watch the stars at night and dream of flying among them without fear. The future belonged to the free, and humanity had shown them the way.